What follows is a playable CV I built in May 2020 to demonstrate my musical and audio design skills. It's almost finished, but there are a few rough edges, so if you'd like a copy of the game, feel free to contact me, but I'm going to hold the main release back just a little longer to iron out a few remaining bugs. I'll let the demo speak for itself. Portfolio piece, portfolio piece, portfolio piece. What shall I show them? Maybe if I show them this one? Maybe this one. Oh, not this one. Sorry, let's take things back a step. So let me start at the beginning. My name's Daniel Egan, and I'm a composer, sound designer for hire. After a year studying drum performance at BIM London, I moved to the University of Nottingham in 2016 to study for a music degree specialising in game sound design, where I wrote several papers on irony in game sound and my final dissertation on audio design principles for social controls in Call of Duty and Overwatch. I graduated in summer 2019 with a strong first and the Music Technology Prize. I've been a working music teacher for 5 years, teaching piano, acoustic, electric, classical and bass guitar, and drums, as well as music theory, composition and technology. The 15 5-star reviews on my first tutors and tutor hunt profile, linked on my website, puts me a head and shoulders above the competition. My students speak highly of my ability to be engaging, my pragmatic approach to the brain and social learning functions, and my honesty when I've explained myself badly or built a bridge too far with my lesson plans. For the last 2 years, I've been seeking to reapply my practical audio and music skills, as well as the communication skills, independence and versatility from being self-employed, to focus on audio design work. Over the course of this demo, you'll get a good idea of my capabilities, my approach, and my interests. All of the menu items, music cues, Foley assets and everything else were all composed and processed by myself. Although some royalty-free library sounds were used in the creation of certain effects cues, particularly the Foley, but there's certainly nothing gone unchanged. You'll also see some visual assets from other games. These were borrowed under fair use. I didn't make Kid Chameleon, and I definitely didn't make Assassin's Creed. I hope you enjoy the demo, even in its limited scope. And I hope you'll see that if you can hook me up with some more talented artists and programmers, then we'll definitely be able to make something really interesting. I'll talk about my game dev experience in the next room. Sorry, I'm losing my voice a bit. Let me try something different for a second. The first game-style project I was involved with was Story Smash, a project funded by UNESCO and the National Video Game Arcade to get kids and teens into game design and into their local library. My role was creating the sound and music, though the audio itself naturally took a backseat to conveying the skills, confidence and enthusiasm to the kids involved with the project. I joined Inspiratio Studio in late 2018 as the composer for Monochrome Beauty, a first-person art game thesis. The team was an international group of around 12 to 15 people working on Unreal Engine 4 using Perforce for source control and meeting once a week on video calls to coordinate efforts. The brief was astonishingly challenging. No non-diegetic music was permitted. So I got around this by designing a blueprint system of diegetic sounds all at tonal pitches, which would spawn in consonant or dissonant sets, which fit the brief, reduced the workload, and made sure that the music was supporting the gameplay at every turn, rather than simply accompanying play. To date, the game is still in production with a tentative release aimed for 2021, contingent on EU funding. The Precious Droplets was one of 3 pieces I produced for an EP called Kakolukia, inspired by the music from the original 1989 Prince of Persia by Jordan Mechner, the Sands of Time trilogy, and the badly underrated 2008 reboot. I borrowed the general aesthetic of Droplets from traditional Hindustani music, although I was listening to a lot of Mahavishnu Orchestra at the time. Down toward the hive. I, for one, welcome our giant bee orb overlords, but we should probably just stay clear. We really don't want to wait. gotten to the end. I hope this gives you a general idea of where I stand on both linear and interactive music and sound design, dialogue, implementation, beats, whatever. I'm pretty comfortable in Unreal Engine 4, but I've been dabbling with Unity enough that I can just about get away with it, although I think I've got a clear favourite. Game Maker 2, actually. I'm not too bad at Source now you think about it, although that feels a bit dated maybe. Anyone else still on Hammer? All of the music you heard was made in Reaper with a few contact instruments. There are a few bits of Foley recorded on my trusty Zoom H2, and I used a few royalty-free library sounds as the foundation of a few FX cues because it was raining outside and I wanted my wind to sound sunny. But I can account for and explain the process behind every sound and music cue in the demo. There was certainly no drag and drop going on. You can go through them yourself in the sound index on the menu. After spending a few years self-employed, I'm very comfortable working remotely and independently on projects. On Monochrome Beauty, we were way ahead of the curve with regular Zoom meetings, not just to make sure we were all working toward the same cohesive goal, but also to make sure we felt like part of a team, no matter what our role was in the project, rather than just a global ragtag cabal of isolated individuals. I certainly cut my teeth on Perforce in that project, so hopefully that's going to come in handy soon. From teaching and playing in bands, I've got what I hope my peers would consider decent people skills and a bit of humility. I've been lucky to work with an excellent crowd, and they've kept me humble by putting my skills to shame at every opportunity. I'm constantly chasing the expertise that I see in my peers, but I don't think that's a bad thing. Where I lack practical experience, I try and make that up with sheer drive, raw potential, and whatever other buzzwords sound good. I've got a practical, pragmatic mindset for troubleshooting, so it's not often that I can get really stumped by a problem, even working on new ground or with weird briefs. I hope you can tell I'm a real music theory nerd and a bit of a technique fiend. I'm a high-grade drummer, guitarist, pianist. I accidentally taught trumpet for a year too, although you don't want to know about my embouchure. I'm a little short on multi-channel sound design experience. My mixing work has only ever been in stereo, and in the context of games, I've relied on 3D staging for spatial effects, rather than digging deep into 5.1 or 7.1 mixing theory. But I'm very happy setting up spaghetti nightmare routing scenarios for studio sessions, so if I can play with some proper gear, I'd love to hone my multi-channel skills. If you've got any more questions, you can contact me via my website, www.deganmusic, that's D-E-G-A-N music.co.uk, or by email at contact@deganmusic.co.uk. My social media links are on my website, but if you're seeing this, then you've probably already got my contact details anyway, so just get a hold of me however suits. I'm very excited to kickstart a new career, so if you want to know more, I'd love to get into the nitty-gritty about it. I'll leave you to wander about for now. I've moved a few rocks, so you can go anywhere you'd like to, and pick up anything you've missed before. There's nothing you can really miss, but I did have a bit of fun with the collectibles. If you wanted to get into a good argument about any of those discussions, you've got my details. I hope you've enjoyed playing, and I look forward to hearing from you soon. Thanks very much. The first game-style project I was involved with was Story Smash, a project funded by UNESCO and the National... Well, this is it. The best game I ever made. I realize that it's not much. I was horrified to find that the coolest Half-Life 1 mod ever released, Afraid of Monsters, was made single-handedly by one particularly messed up 14-year-old. It's easy to be discouraged by these cases of singularly talented individuals. It certainly weighed on me as a musician. As a music teacher, I've tried to push my students toward the pursuit of their own satisfaction, rather than chasing the benchmark of others. Because no matter what we make or do, there will always be someone better. That takes the wind out of working. Now, it's just problems and solutions, rather than the juvenile pursuit of writing the best song or being the best player or whatever. It's liberating, because instead, it allows you to excel at the one thing that you can do better than any other person in the entire world, being you. Art is only worth as much as the personality that created it. And so if you can convey that in a work, it's worth a whole lot more than shreddy, noodly stunt guitar or whatever we're talking about. That's not a very sexy approach for whoever's listening and trying to decide whether or not to hire me. It's fundamentally at odds with, we have to make the best game that will sell the most. But even then, the best game certainly does not sell the most as a rule of thumb. Once again, that dissolution of the extremist ethos allows for a more deft personal expression. It's not an admission of defeat, but a mandala that will consider our situation, do the best job that we can with the tools that we're given, and then we'll wipe the slate clear for next time and start again, this time with a little bit more practical experience under our belt. By the way, for the title of this collectible, I apologize. I apologize for nothing. You're welcome.